We are joined by Mpho Sadiki, who's the MD for Merchant Services at Network International. Thank you so much for your time,
Good
Mpho.
afternoon, and thank you for having me.
We do appreciate it. So I want to speak about what's happened over the past decade and
Yes.
how fintech payments and the landscape in South Africa has, I would say, completely changed and evolved. Where have you fitted into all of this and helped change all of this?
I think for me, yeah, I mean, you're right. A lot has changed in the last decade or so. The most exciting part for me is that I've played a part in it in some shape or form. But maybe let me call out a few things that we didn't have about 10, 15 years ago that we see driving payments today, right? So you think about digital payments, just the convenience that has introduced, the ability of people to sit on their couch, order their groceries, shop in marketplaces, shop fashion, which is something that you couldn't do a couple of years ago, right? You've seen, and I think thanks to COVID and the whole no-touch concept, how fast contactless payments accelerated, and that we all now comfortable to use our phone to tap on payment terminals. I always, in many engagements, I always reference this example that pre the 2010 World Cup, when I had to travel outside of Gauteng, you always had to think about, okay, let me withdraw some cash, especially when you're going to villages and far outlying areas, and that's a thing of the past, right? So either through ourselves, the businesses that we compete with, the amount of point of sale terminals that have been rolled out in this, all the four corners of South Africa, it's again just showing you the level of change. And I think the one thing which speaks more personally to me is that I've been involved in the launch of the Rapid Payments Program. There's a new innovation that went live about 3 years ago called PayShap, right? Which I was part of the lead people within the program, to a point where people used to call me Mr. PayShap because I drove the commercialization of that. And it's just a fulfilling experience to think I can sit now on a Sunday, send somebody money, and they get it instantly. So a lot has happened, I think, and I do believe that a lot still is going to happen in this landscape of digital.
Someone made an example about how easy things are set to get with new programs, that you can even have like a QR code poster on you, and then people can scan it and pay you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how things are evolving and changing. And I'm curious to know how more of this is going to shape Africa's payments infrastructure.
Yeah. I mean,
do you consider QR code infrastructure?
I guess infrastructure it's the rails, right? It's the what plugs everything together. So QR code is what you see. A point of sale terminal is what you see on the other side, right? A card is what you see. The image of your card on your phone is what you see. The infrastructure is what connects all of that together, right? And the fact that, yes, you can now seamlessly transition from using a physical plastic to using a phone to tap the very same card that looks like yours in your wallet. It's again showing you that the mobile infrastructure has now connected with the payments infrastructure to create this interconnected, seamless ecosystem, right? There is, biometric payments are something that is also going to grow. Yes, we will get to a day where, maybe we'll all have a little chip on our, inserted in our hands or iris, or maybe, it goes as far as, what you call facial recognition, right? The next wave of it, you'll see it that is driving biometric payment checkout. So I think at an infrastructure level, it's again this idea that various parallel industries are coming together to really improve convenience, improve experience of consumers, and where you have fintechs, banks, regulators, industry regulators like PASA, all coming together trying to say, how do we solve for convenience, for innovation? believe there's so much that's still going to be done.
I want to speak about financial inclusion and
Yeah.
how we enable SMMEs to thrive.
Yes.
You know, financial inclusion it's tragic that you still have so many people unbanked and not financially included
Yes.
we're in 2025. If you're speaking about chips in our hands, you know, we should be speaking about this for everybody. So
Yeah.
how do we change things to include everyone and also allow these small businesses to thrive?
Yeah. I'm probably one of those people who don't believe in that we have a financial inclusion problem. We've got a financial utility problem. South Africa is one of the countries with the highest banked population. Well over 90% of people in South Africa have a bank account of sorts, right? Either through their normal bank or they have a mobile wallet, something that is of utility, right? You're quite right. Inclusion then goes into how do we ensure that those people have the right products, right? The right products that serve their needs. And when I look at SMEs, I mean, one, SMEs drive, they're the bedrock of the economy, right? That's where jobs are created, right? But for SMEs to thrive, payments and access to cash flow is an important part of it, right? If you're running a small business, how fast you get that money into your account, it's what's going to determine whether you are able to wake up tomorrow and restock, right, or not, and open up your doors. So for me, when I think of our business as a payment service provider, is that how are we building payment solutions that are not only instant from a consumer point of view in terms of making the payment, but how fast do we ensure that merchants have access to their funds, right? And so that's one part of it. And secondly is that small businesses traditionally have always been excluded from lending products because there is a sense of confusion, right? In the sense of saying, where do they fit in? Are they individuals or are they businesses, right? So if you're an individual, it's a simple scorecard. You put in your details and you put in your salary, you get your loan, right? If you're a business, it's a whole set of financials. Credit is assessed by a whole committee and you get your loan. If you're an SME, you don't have either, right? So how we driving financial inclusion is that we're now tapping into this idea of embedded finance, which pretty much says, how do we use the knowledge we have of the transactional behavior of SMEs and start granting and extending finance. So those two concepts, cash sales, make sure money gets to them as fast as possible. Secondly, enabling lending. It's the things that are, for me, will drive inclusion and utility in the SME ecosystem, and they will thrive.
Just lastly, collaboration.
Yes.
You know, many are questioning the role of banks versus fintechs, but there needs to be some form of collaboration with the banks, fintechs, and regulators.
Yeah.
Would you say that everyone just needs to come around the table and work together?
I fully subscribe to that because everyone has to. I've got three words how I classify each one of the key players. So I say banks, they bring scale. Fintechs bring agility, and regulators bring that element of trust. Now, when you combine scale, agility, and trust, I mean, only the best can come out of that, right? So consumers will trust that the solutions are have utility, that they are trusted. Fintechs are able to bring agility in reaching markets that traditionally banks wouldn't reach, building products faster than what banks will typically do, and in some cases, building new vertical products that no one has ever thought about, right? Whereas banks, yes, they have the skill, they have the muscles, they have the knowledge, they have the, that ability also to make sure that there is scalability in whatever is built. So I think South African payments will not thrive or compete globally if you do not have collaboration between, fintechs, banks, and that's how we are today. There's actually extensive collaboration. We don't deliver our services without the support of a bank, right? We are a sponsored entity through the bank, and at the same time, we've made ourselves available to be regulated. So the very same extensive audits that regulators do to banks, we are making ourselves available for regulators to come into this. So that collaboration is there.
Great. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for your time, Mpho.
Thank you very much,
We
and I
really do
appreciate
appreciate it.
this opportunity.
Great. Thank
Thank you.
you.